In order to implement our strategy of flexible response, and secondly, to deny to the Soviet Union a sanctuary from which she could launch these kinds of weapons against Western Europe without fear of having retaliation upon her own soil from Western Europe.
First of all, these are American weapons under American control that are coming. But number two, they are a direct breach of the Khrushchev-Kennedy agreement, where it has been said there should be no such weapons stationed on the soil of allies. And these weapons, Pershing II and cruise missiles, have a completely new quality and cannot be compared to the SS-20 in our feeling, and will reach deeply into the Soviet Union. So in fact, they are there for first strike capability. And we feel that we have enough already on overkill in Europe, enough not land, but sea and air-based systems to combat any threat, even conventional forces. We feel this is completely an excess on nuclear weapons, and we also feel it's a whole new weapons generation, which we as Germans and as Europeans reject because it will mean limited nuclear war in Europe, and we will be the first victims.
General, why do you think increasing numbers of Europeans are frightened by the presence of NATO nuclear weapons in Europe?
Well, that's difficult for me to explain, you see, because I happen to believe that if we're going to deter, we have to deter at all levels, as I've said. And it seems to me that they tend to be more frightened of our stationing weapons or modernizing our weapon system in order to accomplish that mission of keeping them from being used by the Soviet Union, more frightened of that than they are frightened of those weapons which cause us to have to modernize in order to deter.
We reject all mass destruction weapons, also the SS-20, quite clear, because they endanger us, they point at us. But the Soviet Union is confronted, in fact, by two systems, by the intercontinental system of the United States and very soon by the medium-range missiles from Europe, whereas the SS-20 cannot reach the United States. It is just affecting the allies. So there's a total imbalance.
Don't you understand the fear that people have for another increase in the number of nuclear arms?
Listen, young man, don't talk to me about fear of war. I've been in them. And let me tell you, as I've told you before, this group, it's a stupid way to do business. It's a folly, it's a waste. And nobody wants to go back to war. None of us. So all of us have that concern. But because we fear that there might be a war, doesn't mean we shouldn't take the steps necessary to keep there from being one.
All that which is claimed to defend us is going to destroy us. Because those weapons which are now being placed in Europe will in fact, perhaps that's my fear, call for a preemptive or preventive strike by the Soviet Union, because they are